EV haters say they'll never buy one, but 90% of their objections disappear once they actually own one. Let's bust the top 5 biggest myths using real data. The only people concerned with EV range are internal combustion engine vehicle owners. I heard this quote recently and it really stuck with me. Getting used to your first EV takes some time, but being on my 5th or 6th one, I kind of lost track at this point. Once you're used to it, it's really easy to get accustomed to it. There's a lot that goes into an EV's range, especially looking at the EPA ratings, which is like the legal number that we see on Tesla or Lucid or Rivian's website. You have the weather conditions, so things like temperature, wind, rain, all of these things are factors that get taken into consideration. You also have driving speed. So if you drive like a grandma and you're on roads at 50 miles an hour, you're going to get way over what the estimated range would be over driving 75 on the highway. So there's a lot of variables that come into making up an EV's range, but the biggest thing and what it all boils down to for modern day EVs is charging. Because most cars, I'm not saying go out and buy a Fiat 500e with 149 miles, but most modern day EVs have over 250 miles. So even in the budget class, we're seeing new EVs come in at more affordable pricing. So I think the biggest thing is talking about charging. How long does it take to charge, and specifically for home charging and road trips? If you don't believe me on how much EV range varies, go check out any car that you're interested in, look at their EPA stated range, and then go check that against Edmunds' real world EV range test. You'll see all over the chart there, some hit their range estimate dead on, some go way over the range estimate, some go way under the range estimate, and it's the same test for all of the vehicles. Obviously they can't control weather conditions, but it just shows you how much little variables like weather, wind, sun, temperature make such a big difference in the overall range estimate in the real world. Charging an EV is like making coffee at home. What am I talking about? So the largest objection that I hear is it's going to take too long to charge. And people mean that mostly when they're talking about road tripping, but also at home. So let's start with at home. I bring up the coffee analogy because I think it's such a good one. Quality aside, which one would take you more time? Making your coffee at home before going to work, or stopping somewhere along the way and picking up coffee on your way to work? The reality is most people don't realize how much time they spend in a week, in a month, on going to the gas station, let alone we won't even get into oil changes and maintenance and all that stuff. But how much time it takes just to go out of their way, go to the gas station, how much extra money they're spending at the gas station getting things they probably shouldn't. And so people don't realize that it's like making your coffee at home. Your EV, you get home, you plug it in, you sleep. Most people, they're so ingrained with thinking about getting gas as a part of their week and their month that they don't really realize how much time that takes out of their day. Yes, it can be on your way to work, but there's nothing better than going to work, coming home, and already having your car ready to go when you wake up. And I'm not talking just about level 2, 240 volt charging, high speed home charging. I'm talking about most Americans drive 30 to 40 miles a day during their commute, and that's enough for a 120 volt outlet. A regular level 1 120 volt outlet that you would have at any house. It's surprising to me the number of women that I've converted to being EV owners that come to me and say, the best part about having an EV is not going to a gas station. I'm guessing that's because gas station bathrooms are the most disgusting, heinous places on planet Earth, or maybe they just don't like eating beef jerky and cheese sticks all day. But that's been a really surprising thing that I've heard from people. It's crazy how much time you actually spend going out of your way to go to a gas station over the course of a month when you could just be going to wherever you want to go and then going home and charging. So then, what about road trip charging? Every year, EV charging at these DC fast charging stations, think Tesla Superchargers, Electrify America, EVgo, it's getting faster and faster. The cars are becoming more efficient, so they're needing to stop less. The chargers are getting faster. Manufacturers are providing over-the-air updates, or they're building cars that can charge at faster speeds. They have preconditioning to get the batteries to the optimal temperature so they can charge as fast as possible. So EVs are charging faster and faster, but the average time it takes for a person to stop is not. So on average, during a road trip, a regular driver, an average driver, is stopping between every 2 to 4 hours. We could call it every 3 hours, but between 2 to every 4 hours is what the average person stops on a road trip. When they do stop, they stop for about 15 to 20 minutes. So while vehicles like the Nissan Leaf, the Chevy Bolt EV, and the Hyundai Kona EV definitely were awesome in terms of paving the way for budget-friendly EVs, thank God that 80 kilowatt DC fast charging is no longer the norm. Most modern EVs are charging at 3x the speed of what they did in 2017. A great example of this would be the new Chevy Bolt that's coming out in 2027, or the new Nissan Leaf. They're both charging at, these cars are coming in at around less than $30,000 and charging at more than 150 kilowatts. These speeds give people the ability to charge on a road trip very quickly and get back on the road. So most modern EVs are charging faster than ever, but what does all of this mean for you? This means for you that for road trips, people stop every 2 to 4 hours. And when they do stop, they stop for around 15 to 20 minutes. Most modern EVs are charging back up to a level where they can continue on their road trip within 15 to 30 minutes. So this means for the average person, you're probably not going to spend any additional time that you wouldn't have already spent in an internal combustion engine, stopping to grab those ICU combos, going into the gas station, going to the bathroom, dealing with kids, getting up and stretching your legs. You might spend an extra 5 to 10 minutes charging an electric vehicle for your road trip charging, but it's really not a substantial amount. And keep in mind, this is also 5% of the use case of most vehicles for people, for the average person. Okay, so this one's a hot topic. So EVs catching fire. This one is challenging. I'm going to start with the bad up front. So EV fires are more challenging to extinguish than a regular internal combustion engine, a gasoline, a diesel vehicle fire. However, EV vehicle fires occur 60 times less than a traditional ICE vehicle. That's the bad news. There's a little bit of good news, but there's even better news, because on the back end of this is the fact that battery chemistry is changing. So a lot of manufacturers like Rivian and like the upcoming Chevy Bolt, they're moving to a LFP format, lithium iron phosphate. Lithium iron phosphate is the chemistry within the battery cells. This chemistry is a lot less volatile than NMC or NMA, some of the more traditional batteries that we've been using in the past. Another big one is solid state batteries. So the difference between the form factor, the chemistry, there's a lot of improvements that are coming down in very real time that are going to improve EV-related fires, and EV-related fires happen a heck of a lot less than people would be led on to believing. So this is probably my favorite topic as someone that was an ASE certified technician and spent years in automotive school and high school. I see this one all the time for you Facebook people that are out there. Hashtag my boomers. EVs are more complex to get serviced and maintained. So I see this one a lot. What people don't realize, a typical internal combustion engine has about 2,000 moving parts, while your average EV has 20 to 25 moving parts. In an internal combustion engine, you'll have moving parts like more and more modern cars are getting turbochargers. You have pumps, injectors, filters, camshafts, crankshafts, and sensors, and all the things that go along with that. You have thermostats which move, all of these different components. But EV batteries are so expensive to replace. Yes, they are expensive to replace. They're not pocket change. But consider this, since 2008 to 2023, the price of an EV battery has gone down 90%. It's funny to me when people highlight how expensive it is to replace an EV battery pack without really knowing the facts. So in order for modern internal combustion engines like gasoline, diesel to hit emissions requirements and EPA fuel mileage requirements for manufacturers, timing and precision has become increasingly more challenging in terms of transmissions, engines, and all these different variables. So looking at just a couple factors, 37% of modern cars are sold turbocharged or with some level of forced induction. That's massively up since the 80s or the 90s. The average cost to replace a turbocharger across, this is just the average pricing, is $2,000 to $6,000. The average cost to replace a transmission, $2,000 to $7,000. The average cost to replace an engine, $5,000 to $10,000. The other big factor that a lot of people don't realize is that the United States government has a mandate across all electric vehicles being sold that they need to have coverage, warranty coverage, for at least 8 years, 100,000 miles on the battery packs. So let's step back for a second. What does it look like to maintain an electric vehicle versus an internal combustion engine vehicle all the way from 0 to 100,000 miles? What does that look like? To maintain an internal combustion engine vehicle requires maintaining things like routine oil changes, spark plugs, serpentine belts, timing belts, thermostats, fuel filters, air filters, all of these different components. So on average, to get to 100,000 miles, it'll cost an internal combustion engine owner, on average, $9,200 in maintaining. Obviously, that is drastically different if you're a German vehicle owner or if you have a high-end luxury vehicle that changes a lot. But on average, it's $9,200. In contrast, a typical EV will be around $4,600. And I'm assuming a lot of that is going directly towards tires and probably windshield wiper fluid. When I think of people being evangelized towards EVs, I think it's a lot like Christianity. And I love this verse in Matthew 13:13, which is actually Jesus' words. And Jesus is talking about why he uses parables. And he says, "For they look, but they don't really see. For they hear, but they don't really listen or understand." And I think until these things become evident to you, until you hit rock bottom financially and you need to save some money, maybe you'll consider an EV then, or until you get tired of maintaining a heap of rusted bolts and nuts and broken turbochargers, like maybe then you'll become, your ears will be opened. If you're a current EV owner, drop a comment below and let us know what the thing was that pushed you over the edge, the thing that made you decide to get an EV or try an EV. And if you're not an EV owner, I hope this video, comment below on what the thing is that's holding you back. Like, what's the biggest issue? There are definitely more things to investigate. These are the top myths. Maybe if you guys like this, we'll do another video. And if you think this video would help somebody else who's considering an EV, or you think it would help them save money on that rusted heap of bolts that they're currently driving, share this video with them, and we'll see you in the next one. Okay, so this one's a hot topic.